Hey Game Changers, in this episode we are going to be sharing with you as dog trainers, as a vet behaviourist, our top 5 tips, games and strategies for owning, working with and transforming dogs that bark and lunge at things.
Now we know that this place can be painful, it can be stressful, it can be a difficult place to live with your dog, and you know there's a game for that.
So with that, Game Changers, if you haven't already subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure to do so. Let's do this. Okay, so the first tip that we've got for you, for those dogs that bark and lunge at people, dogs, vehicles, noises, you name it, is to grow an optimist.
Now we've seen it all before, right? We've seen all the struggles with owning a pessimist. Owning an optimist is way more fun. It's just the best place to be with a dog.
The fact is that there's scientific research to show that dogs have characteristics of optimism and pessimism, and as trainers and as a vet behaviourist, we see all too often those reactive dogs, they have an underlying pessimism. Now, we've prepared something pretty cool for you.
It's called Optimism Rocks. It's a huge ebook packed with games. I mean, action-packed. In fact, there's not just a game for that, there's a lot of games for that.
And we've linked it in the description below this video.
Completely free. It's for you to download. You are going to want to have Optimism Rocks.
Okay, so the second tip that we've got for you from our experience of working with thousands of these naughty but nice dogs is actually relating to what you do in the moment that your dog reacts.
Now, let's be realistic. Those situations, they are going to happen. We want you to have a game for that. We want to give you a solution.
Fail to prepare, prepare to fail. So with that, we play a game called the A to B game. Now, Lauren, I don't know if you can just show the A to B game. Effectively, what we do is we slide our hand down the lead, we feed our dog, we slide our hand down the lead, we feed our dog to get them used to that hand sliding down. And then what we do is we actually do an about turn and we get our dogs out of the situation. Feeding. It becomes this triggered muscle memory response so that in those moments where they're scared, they're worried, they're overexcited, they're frustrated, we can get them out of the situation without stress. Now,
it's a get out of dodge, literally
absolutely.
Safety net. It's a get out of trouble, get out of dodge. You've got a game for that. And the thing is, when you're in a situation like that, what we all want to know is what we do. Like, what do we do?
Exactly.
You see the situation happening, what do you do?
It's one of the most important skills that you can, and gifts that you can give your reactive dog and give yourself. So we prepared an entire video tutorial just on the A to B, and we've linked it in the description. Okay, so our next tip is to grow the emotion of calmness. Now, the reason why we want to grow calmness is because when a dog is being calm, they're choosing behaviours that are entirely appropriate.
And every behaviour they do really is appropriate.
It's
right?
a great one, yeah.
Calm is the best thing to be teaching any dog, especially dogs who lunge, bark and react.
Now, you might be wondering, how do I grow calmness with my barking, lunging dog? Well, we like to think about that kind of pot of value that you start every day with, their daily food allowance, as a pot of value that we can pay into what we want to grow.
And if we think about this, this could be the calm bank. So we could be paying this pot of value, the pot of food value that your dog gets each and every day, could be paid into the calm bank.
So what you're going to do is you are going to say, right, 50 to 60% of this daily food allowance is going into rewarding calm.
Are you
now,
listening to that?
The thing is, any behaviour associated with calmness, whether it's a lie down, whether it's a slow blink, whether it's, it might be the absence of them doing something.
It could be a yawn. Literally, you guys become your dog's expert looking for those moments,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. What you're going to do is you're going to feed your dog. Grow calmness, there's a game for that. That is our next tip. Okay, so our next tip, this is a crazy one, but did you know that your dog, your reactive dog, is walking around with a bucket? Now, actually, of course, it's a bit of like a metaphorical bucket, but the reality is...
Imagine it like...
Just carrying it around. But the reality is that every dog carries a bucket around with them. And exciting things pay into the bucket, scary things pay into the bucket, things like pain even pay into the bucket. And the thing is that for those dogs that are pessimistic, they're worried about the world, pints of water are paying into this bucket all the time. So that it's filling and filling and filling to the point where it overflows. Now, the overflow point you're very familiar with. This is the point that your dog barks and lunges.
It's the eruption, right? It's the volcano. This is the thing that most people notice. However, actually, we could notice way, way earlier.
Yeah, and it explains that whole phenomenon of trigger stacking you might have read about, where effectively the first dog that they see, they're okay with it, then the second dog, they're a little bit unhappy about that. third dog eruption, it's because we're filling and filling this bucket all the time. Now, here's what's really important. This bucket doesn't empty quickly. In fact, it probably is going to take a few days after an eruption to really empty back to nothing.
Tom did say a few days, and I think it's really important that we acknowledge this in our dogs and in our own worlds.
And what this means is that we need to then consider and structure our reactive dogs' lifestyles to account for their bucket. If they have a bucket filling day, well, the next day we probably need to give them a quieter day. If they have a really stressful walk, well, you know what, we probably shouldn't be walking for the next couple of days. And that leads on to our final tip. And that is that all of the books say, you know what, we need to walk our dogs once a day if they're under 15 kilos, twice a day if they're over 15 kilos. With everything that we've spoken about in this episode, are we thinking that that's still wise? Because the reality is that if we repeatedly walk our dogs twice a day, especially our reactive dogs, well, their buckets are not having chance to empty. And with that, walk after walk, the behaviour deteriorates. Walk after walk, they get more stressed.
And to the point that actually you never see a dog who is appropriate because actually they just live in overflow.
Yeah. So with that, guys, tip number 5 is sometimes we might need to ditch the walks. Sometimes it's going to be better to play games at home. If you don't know what games to play, well, check out the Absolute Dogs YouTube channel and make sure to subscribe because there are alternatives. Enrichment for our dogs does not have to be a walk. And what you've got to ask yourself is when you walk your reactive dog and they're barking and lunging at things, are they enjoying that experience?
And are you growing them in the direction that you want to be growing them, right?
Absolutely. So following our top 5 tips for dogs that bark and lunge, what you're going to do is you're working from where you are right now to where you want to be, which is stress-free walks, right? So with that, game changers, take action. Remember, game changers, whatever the dog owning struggle, there's a game for that.
If you haven't already, remember to subscribe to our channel.
And check out our new 25-day online dog training challenge. Watch the videos, play the games, transform your dog owning struggles.
As a loyal YouTube subscriber, you can get a 70% discount through the link in the description below.
And if you haven't already, subscribe to the #1 most transformational dog training podcast on iTunes and Spotify, the Sexier Than a Squirrel podcast.
And remember to follow us on Facebook and Instagram for more live teaching, video content and free training using the links in the description.